On Capitol Hill, we're joined by the Reverend Franklin Graham, President and CEO of the Billy Graham and Evangelistic Association. Thanks for being here. I saw you yesterday. I said you're going to be nervous, and you were a little nervous today?
I think you're always a little nervous when you're before that many people, but you know it's a great opportunity to be able to pray and to read God's Word. So I was thankful for that privilege, a great privilege.
You have been supportive of this president, even during some of his more challenging times. Talk to me about the speech, and how do you think it will resonate, not only among those who have supported him like yourself, but those who have not?
Well, first of all, I did not endorse any candidate in this election. I went to all 50 state capitals and held prayer rallies on all 50 state ground on the Capitol steps. And that's what I tried to do this year, to get people to pray. And hundreds of thousands of people joined me to pray for this nation. So, you know, when we talk about his speech, he's the president, whether you voted for him or not, and he's going to be the president for the next 4 years. And I think, you know, America needs to come together. Donald Trump has been saying the same thing since he first entered the race. He hasn't backed up. He hasn't changed. He's not a politician. He's saying what he wants to do.
Is that why he's here? Because he's not a politician?
He's not a politician. I mean, just look at him. He's a businessman, and he gets himself in trouble by saying things that's in his heart or on his mind, and sometimes he offends people. And I don't think he tries to do it. I think he's just honest. And it's refreshing in some ways to see somebody who's honest, who says what he thinks and what he's going to do. And if he can do half of what he says he's going to do, he might go down as the greatest president in American history.
And right now, we showed it a while ago, there are protesters on the streets here. Most of them have the best of intentions, but some of them, as we saw, have gotten out of hand and throwing objects and lighting fires. How does he speak, though, to the segment of the population that just feels uncomfortable and afraid? What advice would you give him? And is there something he could have said today that might have gone a long way?
Well, you know, we can always nitpick his speech, and I'm sure he does that himself. He'll probably say, I wish I'd said that, or been a little more gracious to this person or that person. But there's a segment of this country, no question, that's very unhappy. They lost. And one of the problems we have today with the millennials, everybody gets a trophy. You play soccer, or even the losers get trophies, and people are not used to losing. And so you had people, the Democratic Party lost, but okay, get over it and sharpen your message up and run 4 years from now and win. But we got to come together for the next 4 years, and if we don't, we're not going to make it as a country. We can't continue like this. And Donald Trump did not divide America. It's been divided for some time, and I think it goes back to Watergate, when we begin to see the division come into our politics. So I'm glad to see Donald Trump say what he has said. I hope he can do it. I want to pray that he can do it. If he can't, we'll all be losers.
Reverend, how do you square the morality question here? There have been some folks who are uncomfortable with some of the personal behaviors or personal things that Donald Trump has said, fearing that that's not a proper role model. As a man of faith, how do you square it?
Well, President Clinton was sitting right in front of me, and he wasn't much of a role model in that area either. But he was our president, regardless. Our presidents are human beings, and they have their weaknesses and they have their strengths, and we just need to pray that Donald Trump will do well. And because if he does well, we'll all do well as a nation.
You said you think he regrets and maybe goes back and says, I wish I'd been more gracious. Have you ever heard him express that privately, the desire that he had been more gracious toward anyone?
I'm just thinking.
No, but him. You know him. Have you ever heard him express regret for not being gracious?
No, I'm just saying, for me as a speaker, I know that many times I think,
but you're always gracious.
You're kind. Thank you. But I think people always, any of us, from time to time.
Donald Trump, you think regrets not being gracious?
No, I'm just saying he may have something in his mind that he wish he had done this or done that, because we all are like that. But I think Donald Trump is who he is. What you see is what you get. So.
and Reverend Graham, I was struck by two things. First of all, when we had representatives of the faith at the podium offering prayers before and after, it was very ecumenical.
Right.
Everybody got together. Donald Trump, in his speech, it seems to me at least, didn't reach out deliberately to other groups and say, I know some of you didn't vote for me, but I'm here to help you as well as the people that I have been representing. Right. Could he have been more ecumenical, and would that have been more effective, do you think?
No, I don't know. I'm sure he could have, but at the same time, I think he gave a vision for America. And that's what America needs right now. We need a vision for the future, where we're going, what we're going to do. And he's certainly laid that out. He's going to build the military. He's going to put a lot of money into this infrastructure. We're going to put America first. We're going to put American jobs first. And when you think of what happened with, started with Bill Clinton and then the Bushes after him, with NAFTA and taking our industries overseas, it has done great harm to this nation. And Donald Trump is the first person to come along and say, I'm going to put a stop to this. And we're going to bring the jobs back to America. And I just say, God bless you. If you can do that. See, I live in North Carolina where we have the textile industry. And to see all those textile mills closed. And, you know, people say, well, they'll get retrained. They don't want to be retrained. Their fathers worked in those mills, their grandfathers worked in them, and they were proud of the products that they made. Just like the coal miners. Coal miners don't want to be a computer programmer, and I'm nothing against computer programmers. I don't want to get them mad at me. But they want to work in the coal mines because that's where they grew up in their families, that's their heritage, and they're proud to be coal miners. And I think at some point the Democratic Party lost touch with these constituents in America, and Donald Trump connected with them. When I went to all 50 state capitals to hold these prayer rallies, I could see these are working people that came out there in the middle of the day without jobs, and they were wanting someone to speak up for them because their party was not speaking up for them anymore.
All right. Well, Reverend Graham, great to have you here. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Always good to
Thanks,
see you.
everybody.
Thank you, sir.